On PM Express tonight, we're taking football to the next level. I'm sure you know by now, the new executives of the GFA are fully in place now, and it's just a matter of meeting and strategizing for the future. There's a lot to go through. This man is now our new president when it comes to the Football Association. Expectations are higher following his election and the election of other executives of the association. He obviously, this entire elections have been precipitated because of the corruption and the scandal that rocked the GFA when this man was there, Mr. Kwesi Nyantakyi. As we know, the Normalization Committee hands over in November for newly elected executives to fully take charge of the running of Ghana football. That is a particular juncture in the Ghana Football Administration that many people are looking forward to on the back of the elections that happened last week, Friday. Now, we know that there's been several suggestions about most critical steps to be taken now that the new executives are in place, bringing back integrity of the association. One of the key things that some people who closely watch Ghana football have suggested, restoring the dented image of the GFA is another big task that the new executives will have to confront. How they do that is anybody's guess, but we'll try and find out their own thinking around this particular objective shortly on the show. Also, you know, the attempt to bring back the lost confidence, the passion, the passion that we used to see when Ghana is playing. It brings many people together, bringing back the love into Ghana football. It's another thing that they need to find a way of doing. Empowering the local clubs, among others, is a key thing as well. If the Black Stars or any of our football teams are to shine, it starts with these clubs, because that's where we get to grow and groom the next Suleiman Taris, the next Asamoah Gyan. They all come from these local clubs, and that's one of the key things that many people say the leadership must do. Key question. We're going to be assessing the new leadership and the path to reforms here on PM Express. When we return from the break, my guests will be seated, and we'll get into that. Stay with us. My guest in the studio tonight, Dr. Tony Obin. He is the newly elected member of the GFA's Executive Council. Thank you very much, Doc, for your time here on PM Express. Also with me is the man you've seen and heard last week throughout the coverage, Gary L. Smith. Gary, thank you very much. And Gary has a fantastic article out. You should look for it on my Joy Online. Yeah. Answers the questions about, you know, all the questions that people threw after this particular process from the beginning. My favorite question was suggestions about how much each candidate paid to the delegates to get elected. There's one suggestion in there, Gary, when I read that, said somebody was asking, did the person says, I had Ket pay £5,000 or $5,000?
£4,000, and George Free pay 5,000 CDs. Yeah, well. And then somebody asked if somebody offered $100,000 cash, yeah, and all that. So, you know,
so the party politics conversation when it comes to you know, suggestions and fears and suspicions of money being thrown at it is the same as when it comes to the election of executives for the GFA. The citizens simply can't make the difference between the two when it comes to the factor of money. We'll talk about that later. But Dr. Tony Obin, when I heard that you were part of the list, I was surprised. Back in the day, I recall 2006, when you were at Goldfields. Right. I was doing some research for some German partners, and because Ghana was the first time going to the World Cup, and it was in Germany. That's right. I had come to see you. I'm not sure you remember this. I come to see you because Goldfields are playing a key role. Yeah, absolutely. And you were the face of Goldfields then, talking a lot. That was as close as it got to football when it comes to Dr. Tony Obin for me. So when I heard that you were part of the list going, I'm like, oh goodness, what happened here? Tell us about that, your journey towards the Executive Council?
Evans, I'm surprised because, you know, I played football at age 9, 10. I had a team in my village, and we used to go around. We were called 11 Dangerous Dwarfs. The name tells it all. And we used to play.
Could you try?
EDD.
In Chi, how are they calling you?
EDD.
We were not only 11 dwarfs, we were 11 dangerous dwarfs.
Yes. And we used to play football, you know, in the villages. You know, we would walk to villages like in Susaiden, Huni Valley, Bompia, so to go and play our matches. Sometimes our jerseys would be hanging on our necks and all that. And beyond that, you know, there used to be, in fact, I played for a 3rd division club in Takwa, the Takwa district, 3rd division, again in the village, and at a level that didn't make me a bedipere anyway. And then I during the days of Industrial League, when the banks were playing each other, I used to play for Cooperative Bank. At that time, Awi and Abladi Kuma of House of Folk, they were playing for the, I think, Ghana, the National Investment Bank and all that. So, except that I didn't play at a level that would make me a Bedipele or Tony Yabua or Sekofo or something, but I did my own level of playing. Don't forget that, even beyond that, at Legon, I was the secretary of Kotoko Circle 2.
Okay.
The secretary of the Supporters Union there. So I used to be a Kotoko fan. In fact, Kotoko used to be in my blood until I recently just took the blood off and put Midiama over there because I'm the chairman of Midiama. And you know, I've been the chairman of Midiama for almost 10 years. And you can see the results. We have Midiama within a short time of its being, it's gone to Africa twice at the back of the FA Cups. Which they've won twice. In fact, before the normalization came in, we were the leading club as far as the league was concerned. So if they were to declare the winner at that time, just before normalization, or if normalization committee were to declare, they would have declared that. So we've done well. And don't forget also that Midiama, among the 10 well-organized, well-managed clubs in Africa, we are one of them. It's not any of the big old ones. It's Midiama for Ghana, who is that table. I mean, as for the sponsorship, that's different. Yeah. I mean, it's something that it wasn't only for the Black Stars. We did it for other teams, and it wasn't for the FA to come and ask for sponsorship. It was out of the ingenuity and some initiative of some of us who were football lovers, who managed to push our leadership into providing this support for the Black Stars. So I've been involved, but you know, it's just my passion. It's not my profession. So there are some people who have done this as profession, and so their names are synonymous to football. But I've done it as fun, and then as something that I do, even if I would do even if I were the president of Ghana. So
and you raise a very important point. And if you don't know Dr. Tony Yobe, he was the past chief executive of the Minerals Commission. Yeah. He in fact has a civil society organization that he runs now in the extractives, which is what?
The African Institute for Extractive Industries.
Good. And as I said earlier, Goldfields, he was Goldfields Comms Director?
Yes, I was the head of corporate affairs and social development.
Yeah, for a long time. This was the time when Goldfields...
Talo too, I was the head of director of corporate affairs in Talo. So, and then I went to the Chamber of Mines as the CEO before I went to the Minerals Commission. Yeah. So people have known me and associated
in that sector,
me.
Exactly.
So I'm an extractive footballer as well.
I like that. I like that. I mean, I like that. But Gary, you follow football closely. You follow the elections of the council. The council have proper football people on it, but it also has the likes of Dr. Tony Obeng and co. That blend is absolutely important for where we are now as a country, you know.
It is for the simple reason that the reason why we're here is because we admit collectively that our football had gone down. And why did it go down? Mainly because the fuel that was required to power that engine was not there. And where did that fuel need to come from? As we've seen from global trends, you needed companies, or I mean, if you are a sheikh or an oligarch, parastatals, you know, semi-states, to be putting money in there. Basically, you needed money, and the money comes from the corporate world, you know, or the government. But the government in these parts, you know, don't pump as much into the league as you'd say having North Africa or some of the Central African countries for political reasons and so on. And here, primarily, traditionally, that's what our league has been powered by. You know, in the days gone by when things used to be good, the government did its part, but really the corporates invested in it and had huge interest in it as well. So now you are looking for a new dispensation where you are one, and most important, you want to build a perception that the football is an attractive product, and that is what it is. So you are looking for 11 or 12 people on that executive council who can walk into meetings and people will sit up. When they walk into rooms, the air will be sucked out of the room and people will say, stop that meeting, Dr. Tony Obin is here, so and so, it's here from the GFA Exco, and they will take them seriously because they know that some of the people on the executive council are not people you trifle with on a normal basis in a normal meeting. So if they have staked their reputation against such a tattered product, then there has to be, you know, some happiness, you know, around which, or some exuberance or whatever it is, some groundswell of opinion, yeah, I should say, that these people are putting forward. So you need the mix of the people who are well versed in the corporate affairs, but you also need the football people who know the football communities and can do the legwork, because without them, all corporate money will just be disconnected from the grassroots.
Does this mix have that?
Who?
The current mix.
Yes, it does have that. I mean, people have said, people with longer memories than I have, say that this is one of the most balanced, intellectually deep executive committees, as it used to be called, or executive councils that we've had in a very, very, very long time.
Apart from Randy and Dr. Tony Obin, who else is there?
We have people like
Mark Addo is there.
Mark Addo is there. He's the boss of Nzima Kotoko, but I mean a well-established corporate man. So these are some of the corporate names there. And then you've got some really serious football people like Oduro Safo. I mean, they don't come more dyed-in-the-wool football people than Oduro Safo, who can enter any football community and make things happen. If you talk about whipping interest, so after these men have gone out there to, you know, sweet talk the corporates into bringing whatever it is they want there, you need people who can go to the grassroots and convince people that we also need your one CD inside the stadium to bring the atmosphere and the ambience for the corporates to say that we've got the mileage we deserve. So we've got those people as well. I mean, Nano Oduro Safo, we've got Sami Enimado, who is steadily building a reputation for himself as a grassroots football person.
Yeah,
but Fred Achi, who is the CEO of Ashgold, Fred Achi is an interesting mix. He's the CEO of Ashgold, so from the corporate side, you understand. But he's dyed-in-the-wool football person as well, because he started from the grassroots. He's done several years of journalism and so on, and that is the sort of mix that you have. You've got Lord Zico. I mean, also very much dyed in the wool. He also has his business, but maybe not corporate like that, but he's a businessman. He's got a private that is thriving. But if you look at all the people in there, there's a very motley mix that is refreshing to see. And for me, if the 11 of them walked into a meeting in any serious Ghana Club 100 entity, I mean, they'll give them audience.
Happy with the mix you got?
Absolutely. I think, you see, the country has been yearning for a change, and he aptly described it as a tattered product of our football. And so part of the recovery would be to not only to talk about change, but to be seen to be changing. Yeah. And I saw the events of the last month or so as indicative of maybe the change already. Never seen FA elections where the media has been so interested.
It's like a national event.
Exactly, that the public has been so interested, and everywhere in Ghana, everybody talks about that. And I thought, wow, people really love football and they want to see the change. And so I think it's very, very important. The blend is very good for us. And it is not just the blend only, but also the fact that this blend would push for proper corporate governance. You see, the corporate world out there would want to see that we are changing, there's proper governance, there's transparency, we are following the rules of the game. I mean, the FA is, and football general is statute-based activity. Yeah. And so you need to be showing that you're following your statute. You need to be showing that things are transparent. You need to say that, look, my account has been published. You know, my audited account is in the public domain, so there's nothing to hide. So, and I keep saying that it is not only football which is interested in sponsorship. Sponsors must be interested in football. You know, it is just the packaging of the product, which will, because they want to use it as a leverage. They need that platform. So we need to organize ourselves properly and then make ourselves attractive to the sponsoring world or the corporate world.
It comes back to the, I guess, question that I'm sure you've been asked before since last week Friday, which is, what are the objectives for you in terms of reforming?
First, transparency is paramount. Transparency and governance, paramount. That is the first thing that would indicate to the public that we're changing. We also need to
just break down. When you say transparency, in what specific ways will this manifest in this current administration?
In our activities, we have an ESCO. In the past, you would hear that as a group of people having a meeting somewhere, negotiating something, and then from the old people when you listen to them, sure. And then some announcement is made, and this one I didn't even know about it, or my decision was actually not considered. You know, whether or not it's true, I don't know. So we need to be able to let people know from the Executive Council itself, possibly the media also be aware of what's happening, sure. So that they will transmit that to the public, and that will drive the confidence that we are losing or we have lost in the past. So I think that's very important. When people know that we are not just signing things and then, you know, considering whatever corporate regulations, corporate requirement for us to sign something, when we do all these things, I'm sure it would signal to the public that things are changing. Again, people also want to see football. It is not about...
Fundamentally.
Fundamentally, that's all it is about. So you want to ensure that, I think immediately, within the shortest possible time, I think the league must be spoken about, and an indication would have to be given to the public that the league will start at a certain date. I am sure when we have our meeting, we haven't had our first meeting yet. I mean, we had a meeting, sorry, but that was the FIFA blokes who wanted to meet with us and then give us some...
That is after Friday?
Just after Friday.
That's the only meeting you've had?
Yes.
Okay.
So we haven't had any official meeting. So, but I'm sure when we meet, these are some of the things that will be...
When are you hoping to have your first meeting?
I don't know exactly. That has to be communicated by the president and probably the general secretary of FA. But I know the president would also be calling people. We have a platform already where we share information. So I'm sure the president would just communicate that once he has conferred with the general secretary. And it will be very soon, I believe. Now, I think we would have to give an indication of when the league is resuming. Yeah. And I'm also sure that we just don't have to announce, but we have to indicate what we are doing to get it there. Are we preparing our referees to go and handle them? Are we going to see the kind of refereeing that we saw in the past? Not because the referees were bad, but maybe because the referees had some capacity challenges. Would we resource them in a way? Are we going to still allow for host clubs to handle referees, like take care of the welfare? These are all critical questions that we'll have to be asking. And I don't know, we haven't had a meeting. These are all my personal ideas. I may be wrong when we meet. But what would it mean for the FA president, for instance, to say, look, from now on, even if it's on an experimental basis, no referee would have to be hosted by the
host club.
The host club.
The home team.
Club. Yeah, the home team.
Is that what happens?
Well, traditionally, yeah.
Traditionally,
But
they
that,
do
but
them,
that's,
and then
sometimes
sometimes
leaves room for corruption.
Yeah, well, we assume that maybe we'll do the right things. We are all.
Is that what happens elsewhere in the world?
Yeah.
No, so
generally.
Manchester United is the whole club is going to be responsible for
But you see, in those clubs, whether you host the referee or not, the referee will apply professionalism.
Yes.
The problem we have now is our ability to separate professionalism from our parochial interest. If I were a referee professional, so to speak, and then you asked me and I came and you gave me food to eat, I said, thank you very much for your food. I will not go and say because you gave me food to eat, I will have sold my mind to you on the pitch. So these are some of the things. I don't know. These are questions that we'll be asking. If you don't even know the referee who is handling the match, and all of a sudden 2 hours to the time, the referees may know, but 2 hours to the time, they are just there. So you watch a match and you know the decision of the referee is not predisposed. It's not predetermined. I'm not saying exactly that's what happens, but the perception.
Yeah,
and sometimes perception, if you don't do anything about them, they become the reality.
Yes.
So we need to be seen to be doing something. We don't have to present an old image. That is and I must also say that the old people, we cannot throw them away just like that. When then this thing started, we said, oh, we need new faces. And I stood in to say that no, we don't need only new faces. We need a blend of new and old. And we must.
But currently, I think somebody was saying that 70% is new. Gary, you've done a month. You have a fair blend
of
the old ESCO.
Or
the ESCO. Among the ESCO,
yes.
Yeah, in terms of the ESCO, don't forget that the ESCO numbers have reduced significantly.
Yes.
We now have only 12. I think it used to be 20 something.
From the 12, how many are from the old guard?
It depends on what you mean by old
okay.
guard.
Those were part of the previous administration.
I look at it from a football people, from a non-openly football people. Because for me, if people say I'm not a football person, I don't.
Which makes it problematic because you say he's part of the old guard because he's always been affiliated with Mediama, for instance.
Yeah, I mean, but I have not been upfront.
Yes.
Somebody like Odosafu, for example.
He's a dyed football
he's an
person.
upfront
So you
person.
say he's part of the
Most people have been very upfront.
Yeah.
In football, because so when you mention their name, you know football. For instance, somebody like my good friend Randy, you mention his name, people think about football.
Yeah.
Kurt, you mention his name, people think about football, and which is nice. You need people like that with the history, with the institutional memory.
Yeah, that was the word I was going to use.
But you need people from the outside who are also football people by passion or even by administration, but whose work have become more prominent than their football, interface, and then they bring whatever they have to complement what the out and out football people have, and that's why I'm happy with this combination. The combination we have,
Yeah, so I think that Dr. Tony Obing has given more nuance to the point I was making, particularly when he was speaking about the ability to separate professionalism from parochial interest. Because you see, at the end of the day, football or whatever relationship you run is based on trust. It's a question of let your yes be yes and let your no be no. That is the basic form of contractual agreement that humans have between two people, which is why people like to say, especially for people of a certain corporate dispensation, let's talk it over golf. What is it there that makes contracts easier to speak and sign about over a round of golf, or when we have a cigar or two, or something like that? What is it about that? It's just the basic principle of trust. So you asked about, is it the same dispensation when it comes to referees, for instance, in England and so on? But again, what I'd like viewers to understand is that the context of football in Ghana and developing countries and our needs are so specific, are so very, very tailored to our needs. They are very peculiar, that comparing those two is one reason why we have been killing ourselves. Which is why we need to, even outside football, from the governmental side, we need to have rules and regulations for our football that are peculiar to us. So when somebody comes from England and looks at the Ghanaian football landscape and he says, oh, in Ghana, this is how they do it. And somebody says, why? And he says, because in Ghana, the population size is so. The distribution, the demographic distribution in Ghana is such that women make up X amount of the population. So what pertains in England, which is such a multicultural society, you know, they are having, this weekend, you saw they had no racism in football. Yeah. You can't have that here. So somebody will say that, hey, Premier League, they even have that. What the hell do you need a no racism campaign here for? Yeah. You know, they allocate days for LGBT things and then they have their, you don't need that here. And then you come to the issues of, you know, something like the referees. The refereeing body in England are called PGMOL, right? They are a separate body. They are well resourced. Why? Because the Premier League is $1 billion product, so they can take a significant amount and say that refs, where's your budget then? And they say we would need travel expenses because of transparency. We need our referees to take a train 2 days ahead of time so that when Manchester United and Liverpool are playing, they are not seen in the same vicinity. Yeah. We have to house them in this standard of hotel, K Company Limited hotel, kind of, not any goja thing. It's all money. Our context is not the same. So in our case, we need our home teams to house them, which is what you saw in the Anas video, unfortunately, because he was able to get some of the referees who were being hosted by, you know, some of the teams being given certain amounts of money. That is the peculiar situation we are in. Why? Because we don't even have money to pay our players a decent wage. How then do you pay? So, you know, your consternation and your surprise is well placed, but we are not there yet. We grow. And this is where we are starting from. We are starting from scratch. As for me, in the 10 things I listed, I'm sure you saw it. Perception is the most important thing. Like, it's so key, it's not even funny. The second thing that Dr. Tony Obin said that I also listed as my third thing that we should do immediately is start the league, sponsor or not. Because you see, you want to there's a wave of euphoria going. You want to ride that wave immediately. Like, take as much one Ghana cedis from people as quickly as possible. Because when people see that, oh, they are going to start the league, they will go and see that what has changed. Now, in the interim, and we have to do things concurrently. We can't wait and say that we are having training for this. No, we don't have that time. So when they are starting the league, we play week 1. In that same week, we get some ethics training people to go and meet the referees at a base somewhere. They have a conference somewhere. You know, like, there are so many ways we can do it. So they have a match day 1 Premier League thing. They play it on Saturday and Sunday. Tuesday, we are meeting referees in the Bonafo region or something. Take the people within a certain radius, pay their transportation, let them come to a certain hotel, let them get training from somebody who is known as an ethical trainer. Take them through the course, let them sign. You know, they have seen it. Then you know that you are doing it concurrently. You do that, you let the media come, it's on JoyNews at 7. We treat it as a main news item and not as a sporting item. Why? Because you want it to be front and center, that the corporate world are seeing what is there. Joy Business is covering how his former company, Goldfields, are training football something for free.
Sponsoring the training.
No, they are sponsoring the training. It doesn't have to be even physical cash. Yeah. All these companies have their own internal mechanism. Yeah. So he tells his former company, Goldfields, that, you know what, oh, look, this is the football people in the Western North region. I need you to house them for a weekend. No. The Premier League clubs there's Mediama, there's Hazakes or something. Just house the two and just give them some training. Publicize it in the media. If somebody who is a competitor to Goldfields sees that they are doing that, you think they won't do it? I mean, these are just ideas that we are playing with. I mean,
and he raises a very important point. And one of the most important things that we've lost is the love. Yeah. The love for the game.
That's right.
And people have lost it.
That's
I mean, and if the love is not there, no corporate would like to associate.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because if there's what are they associated with?
Yeah.
What brand is it? Yeah. You have to build the brand from ground up. It's almost like you have to have an Operation Phoenix.
Absolutely.
Because you haven't met yet, this is all up in the air. Yeah. You've touched on one, the perception, but that's going to be tough. Yeah. That's going to be tough. You must admit that's going to be one of the most difficult things.
It's actually not that tough, Doctor. You see, it's not that tough. It's not that tough.
Yeah. I think
it's
when you see people,
bring the perception, change the perception.
Already the perception is changing.
Yes.
What I keep hearing since the election is that you have a tough job to do. We are expecting you. In fact, people sometimes point at me directly that you are, as if I am the big change there. So I think now people are they are expectant of a change, which will feed into their perception, which will change the perception in a positive way. I am sure if we gave indications, because sometimes the time will be too short for you to really change everything at one time. But if you gave indications, these are this is the roadmap, these are the feelers, the directions of where you want to go. I think it can change perception. Yeah. I mean, if they hear that you're going to train referees on ethics and on certain professional performance, or I have even said that even the executives, we should go through a governance training. I mean, all of us have done things differently, but we should go through a governance training ourselves to equip ourselves with the knowledge and skills to be able to handle what is peculiar to the football management. It is very key. And I know that yesterday I was with the president at the Kotoko game, and I see he's so keen. He kept saying, Tony, we have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of work to do. He's very keen to sort of indicate a change. He's keen, for instance, to talk about the league when it's coming, but he wants to do so. I mean, I don't have his authority to say this, but in a general, normal conversation, he wants to also combine our desire to start the league with an activity that improves the image of the league itself.
Exactly.
So one of the key things you need to do is appoint your vice president. And I know now with the elect.
Yeah.
With the rules changes, allows you to elect from among the executive council. Yeah. That means that you may be part of. You may be one of the. You qualify for it by virtue of being.
I guess everybody qualifies. Once you are there, you qualify. And I always say that the reason of my being there is to serve football as a member of the Executive Council. So if as a member of the Executive Council, I am asked to be the Vice President, it will be a responsibility as a member of the Executive Council. It is not an inordinate desire to be the Vice President. I mean, sometimes I hear that people are definitely, they are dying to become the Vice President, and I said, no, look, we have a business to do. Any role that is given you to play, if you're serious. I was going to go for the sheriff. I was going to go for the presidency. And then I looked at things and said, no, I'm not going to go. I'll be in the room. It's okay to be in the room. You don't have to. If you have great ideas, you don't have to be the president alone to do that. Be in the room and share your ideas. So if by that I'm asked to lead, and I believe in terms of changing perception, again, talking about changing perception, you want people to, okay, now there is a true and true footballer, a football person here. There is someone from corporate world, so there's a sort of a blend here. Somebody said, it would be nice to have an Obama-Biden arrangement. Obama-Biden arrangement where you have Obama being a younger person and then Biden being the old man and more experienced hand, sort of. So that blend would be very good, but that is not my object of being on the council. It's to serve and make sure football improves. I don't have any intention of ever becoming the FA president. Some people think that, oh, you are there, you become the vice president, so the next time you become, I can say on your set here that I have no intention of becoming the vice for 4 years, and then after that I compete, and no, that's not what if by 4 years and I think that football has done so well and really you are not needed, you can even step back. Or you can be there for another 4 years as a normal person, as a normal contributor, but not with the intention of becoming an FA president. So,
but for the vice, if your other colleagues think that you are the man, something that you definitely...
Sure. But it's a role that you have because you decided to be on the executive committee. So if they make you a committee member, it's a role. If they make you a floor member, it is a role because, and if they make you a vice president, it's also a role.
Tell me, with the rules changes, how does it work? Must people pull themselves up to be elected, or there's a blind nomination of people? Or how have you figured out the modalities of this?
I think what the statute says is just that it will be elected by the executive council.
Yes. But doesn't spell out how this is done?
I don't think I've seen how it is spelled out. So I'm sure we'll have to figure out how to do that. Maybe some people will nominate or people will put their names up and things like that.
Well, like the way they select the captains in the dressing rooms, you know, everybody will vote for somebody, and then the person who gets the most votes.
That's one way of doing it.
So
that's one way
I'm sure we'll figure out.
Or people have to put themselves up.
And that has to be done as quickly as possible. Because there's this speculation going on, and once it delays, you create, because people will be saying things. You know, for instance, if I'm interested, I may say something because I want to spite the other person or something. So we don't need that division. We need to be serious with what we...
You can't afford it.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm sure, well, I hope we will have our meeting as soon as possible. But once we do that, we elect whoever is the president, and we move on and go to the real McCoy. Yeah.
I'll come to that shortly. How important is a vice president?
Oh, it's a key thing. I mean, it's the first step towards whatever thing we are building. Okay. So it has to be key. Now, the vice president inevitably is going to be the second in command. You know, and in this case, it's not going to be a ceremonial role. He's actually going to be doing a lot of work because of the dispensation we are in. There is an incredible amount of money. So he's going to be an envoy for, you know, the president. He's going to be, has to be aligned with his vision and represent him and his ideas on every platform. So if we were seated with the vice president here, he open the phone lines. Just imagine the number of questions that will come. Yeah. He would have to be able to parry it and soak it all in. He has to be a representative of what they want to do also. Now, after the vice presidency, then comes the small matter of couching ideas, selling it to the rest of the executive council, and then the larger footballing body, and then we start making progress. So things like the Ghana Premier League. Certain key decisions have to be taken about some of the behaviors that we need to unlearn. You know, an example being, before every match day, when you watch your Premier League, your La Liga, and so on, and you are watching the build-up, you do not see the people who are asked questions about, are you playing the team news, and you don't see any CEO speaking in England. You never see Ed Woodward talking about who is going to start it. No. On a Thursday morning, they bring the coach, one player, and they sit there. Here, you listen to our news, and then we speak to the players. The players even barely speak. So all those attitudes need to come from up there. And how do they come from up there? When the vice president is chosen, they need to agree with the executive council that we are choosing, for example, a general secretary in charge of this, one in charge of competitions. It is people like Dr. Toniobi and the rest of the guys who are going to have to make that decision that this person we are choosing must be intellectual enough, open-minded enough to understand that our media colleagues cannot force club CEOs to be talking about team news on a Friday morning. When Evans Mensah is driving to work and they say, this club is going to play this club. Ahead of this game, this player is injured. Then it's not the player who is talking about his injury, but his CEO is speaking. I mean, really? So all those things may seem like everyday things, but they have to start. Today's floods in Accra had me posting something on Facebook, and a lot of people kept saying, leadership is cause, everything else is effect. So that's how big their job is. Look, the minutest of things that annoy people about the Ghanaian football dispensation, they would have to show that. And it's not an easy job.
Yeah.
I hope that they all understand the enormity of the task. Kurt has been in the job 3 days, Evans. He's had to meet Kotoko twice. He's had to meet the Black Meteors today. He has not even sat down to do any work. Look, in the space of 7 days, if Kurt Okraku comes on television and somebody sees him making another speech, now they're speaking one away. That's what they will say. Yeah. Meanwhile, he needs to set the grounds. But we are a nation in a hurry.
Yeah.
We ain't got time.
Our football has been...
Like, we are 600 years behind. So that's the enormity of the task that they face. A population that has so much hope, and it's the hope that kills you. And a population that has so much hope in them, that wants to see results like tomorrow, forgetting that we have had habits that have taken 60 years to build. That we have to unlearn, break.
And it will happen overnight.
It will happen overnight. Look, next month we are going to have Black Stars. Yeah. We have not had Black Stars playing in the last 2 windows. How does the Executive Council decide?
They haven't?
They haven't played.
So the last time they went for the international break, nothing
we didn't have. 2 breaks ago, we didn't have anything.
Oh, wow.
Have you thought about that? We are going to have the international break.
And nobody even cared. I didn't even notice.
That's the point. But now that there's a new GFA administration, people will care. Yeah. And they'll say that, but why isn't Ghana playing? Oh, the Cats, this. That's what people, you understand? That's what people are going to say.
Dr. Tony, there's a lot for you to respond to. Yeah. I'm going to come to you. When we return from the break, we are talking Black Stars. Some say fix Black Stars and all their problems will go away. Is that true? Stay with us. My guest in the studio still with me, Dr. Tony Obeng. He is a member of the GFA Executive Council. Also with me is Gary Al Smith. Dr. Obeng, the Black Stars, I guess in the scheme of things you want to do, how important is fixing the Black Stars?
Well, the Blacks, they are the national team. I mean, our #1 national team. And actually, they are able to galvanize people, the nation, bring people together. So the Black Stars must be a priority to the Executive Council. How we do it, I think we need to think and structure things properly. The selection yes, I met someone from Belgium. He's a white man, and was talking about selection of players to the national team. And I was amazed the kind of thing he said. As if he lived in Ghana. And how some players get there. We don't know. I don't have the fact. But how do we select our Black Stars to ensure that our local players also get the opportunity to play in there? I mean, we didn't used to have professional players, but we still had Black Stars that won things for us. Sure. It took a long time before Abedi Pele went and played outside, but even before he went and played outside, he was a top-notch player. Tony Yeboah, Gosekufu, and all that. So I'm happy with the professionals who are abroad, but I believe in a blend that will also promote those who are here. Give them the opportunity to go out. So I think we need to have a way of selecting the Black Stars, which would, in my view, come from a pipeline. And these are just ideas. I believe that if we had a pipeline of talent developed over the years, from the juvenile level to the middle level, the middle level is key. That's where we got the Joe Debres, the Shamokwe's, and all those people. And then you come to the level, I call them the Chenchenhine's level, the Chenchenhine, the Polo, and the Razak's level. So you have to have a plan to develop that pipeline.
But that is long term.
Yes.
Ghanaians want.
No. As for the short term.
What is the next tournament you have? The qualifying for the World Cup.
Yes, I think African the
2022,
and we have the AFCON also. So I think it is something that we will have to focus on as a matter of urgency. And I think at that time we will need corporate support, corporate and government support, whatever resources that are available to support the Black Stars. Because once the Black Stars start winning, I tell you, people's confidence and excitement would come up. I could just picture what happened in 2006. You know, when we qualified, just by qualifying for the first time, Ghanaians became Ghanaians. We ceased to be NPPs and NDCs and Muslim and Christian. We ceased to be that. We saw ourselves as Ghanaians. And you know, it sustained for a while. Yeah. It sustained for a while. Sometimes it gets...
It peaked at 2010.
You see?
And then after 2010, when we went to the 2014, is when...
started...
And it hasn't recovered.
Yeah. So I think it is doable. We can do that. And I believe as soon as possible, we will have to look at the Black Stars.
You have a small matter of the coach to still handle. I know you guys will be running away from it, but you have to confront at some point. You have to make a decision whether you're keeping him, and Gary, let me bring, whether you're keeping the coach, because it's fundamental to changing the Black Stars. Are you keeping the coach? Are you maintaining the players we already have? Or you're expanding it to bring in local players, except local players are important, and a few more blend of foreign players. But the fix, how important is fixing the Black Stars to this?
The Black Stars is a silver bullet.
Yeah.
If you get that right,
you're gone.
All your problems are
solved. And if you don't,
you are in a mess.
So you see, the approach, you know, the German approach that they took, which is world famous. England have recently done that. And you've seen the current generation of the young English players. But it takes time. And it takes...
Do we have the time?
No. You see, then they have to tell us immediately with a united voice that people, you see where we have come from over the last few years. Okay. The next AFCON, the next two AFCONs... Forget.
Okay.
When you tell everybody, who can they kill you?
I am sure they are likely to accept that than not to tell you.
Do you get it?
Yeah.
And then this is why this is an exciting time. Because then Kurt has gone to see the Black Meteors today. Okay? He openly comes and tells people that Black Stars is beyond Kwesi Appiah's contract. That's the first thing he says. And everybody says, okay, what's he getting at? Then he says, yes. Whether it's Kwesi Appiah or Jose Mourinho, the fundamental part is that the conveyor belt where we will get the next generation is broken.
That's the talent pipeline I said about. Yeah.
The talent pipeline is broken. So let's fix that. Take everybody's attention from the main thing and tell them that thankfully we have a crop of 20 to about 30 or 40 players who are currently playing. Let them play. Let's focus more on building the base. So the 20 whatever AFCON that is coming, we are good enough to qualify for that one. So when we get there, don't expect us to win. In fact, forget about that one. Then present a template of the England's, some of the other national teams who have done so in Africa, and we've seen. Look, Senegal and Mali, they are beating us at every level right now. Yeah. Mali have beaten us at everything the last 4 years, under 17, under 20, under 23. Why? They took their time. They went back after the Kanute years, Freddie Kanute years, and they decided that we are going back to the roots. Right now, if you bring an under-2 national team from Mali, under-2 national team from Ghana, they'll beat us hands down. Like, that's how bad
maybe
it is.
Maybe under-2 and under-4.
Under-2 and under-4. You know, that's how bad it is. So, it's the excuse that this administration have is that they have a new broom in a new room. When they psych everybody that, look, we are fixing the league. We are fixing the conveyor belt. Give us time. Yes, I do understand the Kwesi Appiah thing. That one is a strategic decision they have to take. They have to measure the public temperature, decide on what's best. All those things will come to play. But I'm here to say that whether Kwesi Appiah is maintained or not, and small matter, everybody knows that I don't want him to be there. But whether he's maintained or not, it is bigger than him, than Kwesi Appiah now. Yeah. It is bigger than him because we need to fix the technical direction of the country. And Kwesi Appiah is just it's a minuscule part of it. So whether he's there or not is not the big deal. You need a system where Kwesi Appiah can be in and he would function to a certain level. You see my point. So
So I think the template for the Black Stars is quite clear. Another key point talking about Black Stars is the relationship with government has always been a big problem. It's either helping you or it's destroying you. We've seen it play out over the years. I'm pretty sure this must be something that you guys are thinking about.
Absolutely. I mean, when I was at the vetting, this question came up. And I said, you know, the only relationship between the Minister of Sports or maybe the Sports Council and the GFA is football. You know, so why couldn't we have a standing, some kind of committee, an interface between the football session of the Sports Ministry and GFA? Because it is not every sport. GFA doesn't handle every sport. Yeah. You know, it handles only football. So we would have to have some kind of structured arrangement between the GFA and the ministry. And it shouldn't be based on when there is a tournament. You know, I think that is what is killing us. If the ministry has a committee for football, because football is the biggest, and that has to, maybe the GFA ministry interface that is there to discuss issues, including how to develop Ghana football. So that is part of the sport that, you know, that's football. And so that will kill the suspicion, the mutual suspicion. Oh, the minister is this. Oh, the minister doesn't like the president of the FA. The FA president doesn't like the minister, and that kind of thing. I think we can insulate these people from the seeming acrimony, and then have them talk through committees. I mean, the FA can set up a group that deals with the ministry, and it is on a structured basis and a regular basis.
In government circles, isn't that what they call them? The
interministerial
task force.
Something.
Yeah, and it works.
So that then it is there. Yeah. They talk. It's not about waiting for a game to come. No, minister, we need money. Government must. This is a national team. It's a government thing and all that. Or one way is for government to define its interest, its objective of football, and so this is what we want. FA. Take this and deliver that for us. That is one model.
Your task is really clear and cut out, and I guess going forward, we see how when you begin to elect your vice president and others and everything begin to fall in place, the plan that you collectively begin to share with us and let us into. You talk about transparency at the start of that. I guess that's going to be a big deal. As Gary has stated, you have to carry us all along. Absolutely. So it's not this is just a plan cooked in the room. It's only sitting in the heads of a few people who are executing. You need the whole country. You probably need to do a big event and lay out the plan, you know, and get the whole country.
I know
that's coming.
Yeah, the president is quite keen. I had a chat with him. Yeah. He wants to do a 4-year plan and a comprehensive one. That is quite detailed also. So I believe all these would come.
That's why I'm grateful that you joined me.
Thank you. Pleasure to be
Gary,
here.
always happy to have you join me with the insightful comments. My name is Evans Mensah. As we look forward to the revival of the Black Stars, so that my love for Ghana football will come back again, Manchester United is a heartache. I want something else to help me recover. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Hi, Arsenal fans.
No, Arsenal fans.
Arsenal and Manchester, we are just getting close.
Are you Manchester?
Manchester, but don't you look at me.
Yeah, bro.
Huh?
Yeah, bro.
Yeah,
he's tired.
But Arsenal has been there, so don't worry. Arsenal has suffered.
They are suffering. They are still suffering.
They say we are cousins.
Enjoy the rest of your evening.